Welcome to Deep Cuff Channel. Raging waters of the Black Sea may soon begin to boil. News from Crimea indicates that the conflicts in the region will soon turn into a major war. Ukrainian army is preparing to launch an unprecedented offensive to regain control of Crimea. Russia is trying to increase its military measures in this region, but the situation is not going as Vladimir Putin wanted. There are very important claims about the great naval war that is expected to take place off the Crimea. Russia continues to lose allies in the war. Fearing Ukraine, Vladimir Putin can take the war to different fronts. U.S. Army is preparing the ground for the victory of the Ukrainian army with the critical decisions it has taken. Ukraine-Russia war continues with a rapidly rising conflict graphic in recent weeks. According to the latest news from the front, Ukrainian missile and artillery units announced that they destroyed 4 command centers, 3 front lines, 1 ammunition depot, and 1 communication center in the areas under the control of Russian troops. Although the majority of the attacks were carried out with the HIMARS systems provided by the U.S. Army, it is stated that Ukrainian ground troops also contributed to the operations. Warplanes of the Ukrainian Air Force that took off after these attacks gave the Russians a second shock. As stated in the latest operational report published by the Ukrainian General Staff, Ukrainian warplanes carried out 14 airstrikes in total, inflicting serious damage on various areas where Russian personnel were present. These attacks are said to have been carried out by Ukrainian MiG-29 aircraft. Along with the warplanes, the Ukrainian helicopters that took off provided close air support to the ground troops, enabling the Ukrainian troops to control an area of approximately 8 kilometers in one day, especially in the Kherson region. As a result of the operations carried out by the Ukrainian aviation, 35 Russian soldiers were neutralized according to the first determinations, while the entire damage is being investigated. Meanwhile, the Russian army tried to act quickly in the face of the advance of the Ukrainian army. According to the statement made by the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, the Russian army mobilized its troops and tried to seize the regions under the control of Ukraine, especially the Donbass region. It is stated that the Russian troops that carried out these attacks were among the most elite units of the Russian army, which had previously served in the Kherson region, but were dispatched to Donbass after the Ukrainian army captured the city. These Russian elite units consist mainly of paratroopers. All attacks of these elite soldiers sent to the front by Vladimir Putin were repelled by the defenders of Ukraine. It is stated that Ukrainian defense units repelled Russian attacks near 11 settlements in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions. Unable to successfully complete its ground advance, Russia tried to mobilize its missile and air forces quickly. Accordingly, local sources stated that in addition to 6 missile attacks and 14 air strikes, the Russians attempted a total of 59 attacks from multiple launch rocket systems on the positions and settlements of the Ukrainian troops. According to the statements, these Russian attacks did not cause serious damage. Meanwhile, the head of the Kharkiv Regional State Administration, Oleg Senegubov, stated that the Russian army is trying to attack the Kharkiv region using the S-300 air defense systems. We should underline that all attacks were neutralized by the Ukrainian air defense shield. Fact that the Russians preferred a system such as the S-300 for this attack is the biggest proof of the missile shortage they are experiencing on the fronts. Failure of the Russian attacks and the depletion of missile stocks are currently the biggest advantage in the hands of the Ukrainian military. Ukrainian army aims to seize Crimea as soon as possible by making the best use of this advantage. Currently, Ukrainian forces are targeting and destroying Russian supply and communication lines in the southern part of the battlefield. We saw this strategy of the Ukrainian army before the great counteroffensive launched in the Kherson region. Main aim of the Ukrainians is to wear out as much as possible the Russian troops in the Crimea and then deliver the finishing blow. But in the West there are some reservations about pulling the Russians out of the Crimea. Western leaders think that a Ukrainian counterattack against Crimea will push Russian President Vladimir Putin beyond its borders and force him to do something unreasonable, such as the deployment of tactical nuclear weapons. But news from the front indicates that the Ukrainian army definitely wants to seize this region. According to Breaking News and a local mayor's TASS news agency, an air defense system has been deployed in the Russian-controlled town of Armyansk on the Crimean Peninsula. This news has not yet been confirmed by the Russian Defense Ministry. Activation of air defense systems is most likely the result of a missile or air strike. Ukrainian army has so far not made a statement claiming responsibility for this attack and incident. At the same time, unmanned aerial vehicles may be involved in this event. However, military reports and comments indicate that the starting point of this attack would be the sea if the attack were to occur. It is now known by everyone that this attack on the Sevastopol port, where unmanned systems were used in the past weeks, is a rehearsal of the Great Crimean attack to be carried out by the Ukrainian army. With this attack, the main purpose of the Ukrainian army was to remove the Russian Black Sea Fleet, which was close to the Crimea, from the region, and it was successful. Ukraine's victory in the Kherson Oblast confirmed the centrality of naval access in the war with Russia. As Ukraine plans its next move and Russia responds to Ukraine's advances, experts say Ukraine must prioritize victory at sea and Kiev must have the tools it needs to break through Russian maritime control. According to reports already put forward, Ukraine will launch its massive criminal offensive in the period between the beginning of winter and mid-spring, while continuing its ground pressure. This period will provide the ideal environment for naval warfare. Because in naval wars, the conditions of war are much more important than land and air wars. Meanwhile, Russia is trying to revise the army technology with the systems it is trying to supply, but the results are different. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has signaled that the Collective Security Treaty Organization may disintegrate if Russia loses the war in Ukraine. Collective Security Agreement Organization is a largely Russian-controlled organization comprising Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia and Tajikistan. It is already known that Kazakhstan and Tajikistan in this organization are reviewing their relations with Russia. Russia also seems to be preparing to take a critical step in Asia, especially in order to re-establish its authority in Asia and to secure the future of the organization. Some emerging military reports reveal that Russia was preparing to attack Japan months before President Vladimir Putin launched a sweeping attack on Ukraine. Reports state that in August 2021, Russia was preparing quite seriously for a military conflict with Japan. A peace treaty that officially ended World War II was never signed by Russia and Japan, largely due to disagreements over a group of islands that Japan claimed but controlled by Russia. Known as the Kuril Islands, these islands caused tensions between the two countries to continue. Meanwhile, the U.S. military plays an active role in the region. U.S. military may one day send some of its best drones to Ukraine to fight Russia someday soon. More than a dozen U.S. senators from both major parties are pushing the Biden administration to provide Ukraine with a fleet of advanced armed drones, The Wall Street Journal reported on Tuesday. Lawmakers think that Ukraine, which has its own drone fleet, could break the coercive blockade by finding and attacking Russian warships in the Black Sea. Victory to Ukraine. We will continue to monitor the world and especially Ukraine. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.